Good morning. It's Carol Martine. I'm back in my studio and I welcome you to it so that you can join me because today I'm going to be getting back to my secrets of Pistoulet. I have to be honest, I've gotten a little bit sidetracked lately and all of a sudden it came over me that I was missing working in this altered book. Today I have picked these pages, and this is a long spread. It starts here. She dreamt she was greeted by two gentlemen who appeared in a large hot air balloon of many colors. They beckoned her, to join them in the great wicker basket. So we have that book page. We have these two lovely vellum inclusions, and isn't she just a lovely lady? Let me get in a little bit closer so that you can see her a little bit more clearly. And a second vellum, and here is the hot air balloon, and look who's in it. And the last page is the flight. They passed over trees that were thick and green. She could not see through them. But then there was a field so yellow, it was almost blindingly brilliant. Here we go. Let's see what we can do to embellish these pages, but not to take away the natural beauty that we see expressed here. I have used my clear gesso on these two pages because I find that in this book, that little bit of grit certainly makes this job easier. We did one other spread in here in which there was a vellum sheet, and I discovered, quite by accident, aren't the greatest discoveries usually by accident, that vellum takes archival ink beautifully. So I went into my stash and I pulled out some clear stamps that I thought might just do the trick on this page. So I have that choice. I'm kind of liking that flower if I decide to choose one that size. I found my favorite bird and my very favorite little bee. I don't know about them, but they're available. And then this stamp that I had never used before. Oh, yes, I guess I had used it once. Make every day extraordinary, with a stamp from France. A collection of butterflies that look as though they're flying up out of tall grasses, which of course I can see happening in this part of France, can't you? Some what I call weedy flowers, and there's sometimes nothing prettier than a nice weedy flower. A good standby stamp in case I wish to use it. And one of my all-time favorites. So, let us look now. I think first I'm going to enjoy using my acrylics just to add a little bit of color around the story. I don't want to cover up this beautiful section because this absolutely screams France. And I thought on this back page I would do the same thing. So I've gotten out my very, very favorite Baby Blue by Folk Art. And And I know that you don't need to listen to me tell you again about how much I like that blue. And it does so well when calmed down a little bit by my Ceramcoat buttercream. So I'm going to put a little out. I don't know if I'm going to be using it. Let's see what we can do on this first page of the spread. Oh my. Yes, yes. There it goes. Every time I use this color, I thank heavens that they're still making it. I went and bought 2 extra bottles because I, somehow or another, the thought of running out of this lovely blue makes me go weak in the knees. Alrighty. Let me try it over here, and then we might come back and add a little white. I think that's going to need a little bit more white. Now this sky looks a little bit more as though it has a touch of green in it, probably a reflection of these fields. So I might not be adding too much of the buttercream, because that really is the job of that buttercream, because there is just a tiny smidge of yellow in it, which of course, yellow and blue, Alrighty, I think I'm going to put just a little bit of it here too. Now, let us see if I'm going to need or want to tone this down. I think I'm going to. Oh yes, doesn't that buttercream just put some scattered clouds in the sky? Just a little more, because I got a little heavy-handed on that side. There we go. Now, I don't think I'm going to use that on that back sheet. All right. Now, I want to bring out some of the tall grasses and some tall grasses from this section, but I certainly want them to be sparse because I don't want to cover up the natural beauty of the illustration of the book. I just want to embellish it. So, let's see, I think I'm going to go to this one first and see what happens. Get out my stays on. Yes, just a bit and I think the reason I'm having a little difficulty with this is because this is not a flat surface. This book has many additions and pockets in it, so sometimes it makes it a little bit difficult to achieve the effect that I want, so I'm going to provide it with a surface to work on. There we go. There we go. Alrighty. Very nice. Let's see what happens. Does it show through? I think I'm going to dry that. All right, let's get out our very nice. They almost look like trees in the foreground, don't they? Sometimes you try something and you get double the gift. Just make sure that this one comes off the page. Maybe just a short one down here. Tilt it over a little bit. There we go. I seem to have a desire to run that design over. Shall I do it? I don't know. Let me try first. See what happens with this. That I haven't used before. Yeah. Alrighty. I'm going to try the experiment back here. Whoops. My magic block. I wouldn't be doing myself any favors at all. Let's see what this is going to look like. Very nice. Since I didn't have great luck at the beginning over here, I'm going to try to work this one in down here at the bottom. I think I'm going to dry this again. Keep any marks off the vellum. Now, because I know that I'm not going to be happy at all with this tiny little bit of bleed over from this stamp onto this vellum, I'm going to go and I'm going to get some alcohol and Let's see what happens here. I'll be right back, because I certainly can't stand that. Well, I guess when they say that stays on is permanent, they're not playing with us, because the alcohol took off maybe just the tiniest bit of it, but this is what is left. I guess I'm going to have to live with it. Okay. Now, let's go back and add just a little bit more of that stamp to this, I believe, just this side. Yes. Now, back to the question whether we want to bring that over. Well, when the muse keeps screaming at me, do it, I'm going to do it. Knowing all the while I have to live with this if I don't like it too much. I have to make something magical happen if I really am unhappy. Well, that has certainly connected this vellum to that first part of the spread. I must make sure that I dry this quite thoroughly. In fact, I'm going to do that right now. I'm wondering if I can't enlarge this flower that this Victorian lady is offering to just kind of give this a focal for this page. I'm going to spend some time mulling that over. Now, let's see. I want to go on with that taller one. I think the reason I like this one is because of the fine stems. If I put it on this side, it will show through to the other side, not be quite as strong. Here we go, another experiment. know whether it's an experiment. It's an experiment in art, but sometimes it's an experiment in terror. Okay, let me get that over here. And another bit of that on the bottom to fill out this area. And I'm going to move on because I think I might be getting to the point where I'm overdoing a good thing here. But is that ever really possible in art? Let's see where we are now. Thinking, yes, I might do that here. And we have this over here, which carries out our theme, and on the back. And oh my, wouldn't that be a nice possibility for covering up this little blemish over here? My, my, my. What a delicious idea that might be. Let's see. Just a touch for this one that I couldn't clean with alcohol. And I'm going to stop. Force myself to stop, actually. Aha. Righty. I'm going to go for broke right here. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Finished. I'm going to close up these stamps for a while. Well, I have a think. possibilities. I'll be back. So I decided to go with my flower. I first pencil sketched it, and then I went over it with my Micron 8, and then I chose Ceramcoat Yellow and Ceramcoat Salmon. The reason I chose salmon was because I saw just a little of that color here in the illustration in the book, and of course each one of these had a very lovely yellow throat. So I decided to play that up. I picked this rather strong yellow because of this sunflower. I did not want our sunflower not to get its due. So I'm working now on seeing what we can make. In the throat of each of these petals. I got the shape by using the petals that existed in the illustration and playing them up and extending them. Might just take another coat of yellow when this dries, because I want the yellow to be significant. Because after all, in Pistoulet's world, it's all about sunflowers. And we mustn't forget that this is Pistoulet's world and not ours, so we have to kind of share with her. All right, let's see. This might be a little early to add some more yellow. No, it isn't. Okay. You can see what the second layer of the yellow certainly puts us in the area that we want to find ourselves in, or at least I do. And this makes my eye slide over to that happy sunflower. Back to this one. Back to this one. And the one in the middle. I'm going to let that dry naturally, and I will be back. We will finish our flower and continue with our embellishments. I still have to think about what's going to happen here. Maybe more, but then sometimes less is more, so we'll see. I'm going to let this air dry, and I'll be back with you as soon as it's finished drying. Well, I'm back to working on our focal flower, and as you can see, I'm adding Target shimmer paints in rose, fuchsia, and possibly egg. We'll see. This is the fuchsia to give a little background warm up here. thinking that we are going to use some of the rose over the top. Ah, yes. It's just transparent enough that it's doing its job a treat. And see how it is smoothing out the color transitions? Let's do that big puppy in the middle. This paint is just delicious because not only does it have a shimmer, but it seems to move so nicely, almost as though it were satin. And yet, transparent enough with all of these coats that I can still see the Pistoulet story underneath. Now I'm thinking just a slightest smidge of the egg in the transition between the yellow and the pale pink. Let's see what happens. I love these wide mouth bottles, although they do tempt me to use the cap. It's my paint source. Well, let's see now. Oops, I want to go the other way. I'm not going to go all the way to the top of the yellow, nor to the bottom of the pink. Let's see if we can get this working the way we want to. And get that one out of the way. I hope you are able to see. I haven't got too much pigment on my brush. Let's see what we can do now. Let's try one more. Well, it is a little bit difficult for you to pick that out, but it does do what I thought that it might do. And still, can see Pistoulet story through all of these layers. I've been using these paints for a few weeks now, and they never seem to disappoint. Which is more than I can say. Some other products that get 1 or 2 use times and get pushed to the back of my mind, and out of sight or out of mind, out of use. Alrighty, now here's the test. I think I'll practice on this little one right over here. This one. A little bit of a foreign bit there, but I'm going to let it be nature taking its course, because trying to fix something like that can sometimes ruin the best laid plans. And the last one. And of course, on the last one, it always works the very best that it did for all of them. Do you see the gradation of color? Quite happy with that. And I'm not too unhappy with this hard edge, because I will be going back and revisiting this with some black Uniball, which will bring out the placement of the individual petals. Or I might be tempted to just put the slightest little bit of salmon, ceramic coat salmon, at the throat of these. To see what will happen here. Alrighty. Now I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to look at her face, and I'm liable to just darken up. Yes. And I have discovered a new Sakura micron, but this is called a micro perm. And my husband builds model airplanes, so they have rather a glossy finish. And when he uses this to do his line work, sometimes it takes quite a while for it to dry and it can smudge. Whereas this, put it down and it does not move almost immediately. It's really, really rather nice. And see what we want to do here. Just to bring out the center of our so pretty sunflower. Yes. Righty. You'll notice the way the ink comes through the vellum to the other side just beautifully. Well, let's see what happens when I bring a little bit of power to these areas. Yes. Goodness, I wonder if I'm about to open up a can of worms on this one. A happy can of worms, though. Let's see what happens. These are not exact lines. I don't want them to be. I just want them to add a little bit of strength. It's rather a little basket for this doggy, but prior to this, I would be quite afraid to let my finger get in there, but let me show you right here that I am rubbing away at this. Nothing. Righty. I wonder if those clouds might benefit from a little more oomph. I do believe I found something in my stash that might work very nicely. I'll be right back. Now, I think I'm about ready to get to the final steps going to embellish this hand and re-outline this focal flower. I'm going to see if I can make some magic on these greenish clouds. And as you can see, I have finished, or almost finished, stamping this side of the spread. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to be using Electroset metallic marker. Yes, I think so. And now, around our girl. On this side, I'm going to be going over just the darkest of the greens. In order to pick them out a little bit. Let's see what we have now. Oh, yes. And then, of course, can't put down a good thing when you find it in art. So, let's see if I can darken some of this balloon up just a little bit to give it just a touch of dimension. I don't want to overdo. Going to touch every possible spot here. All right, let's see what we have now. Yes, better. And now, I don't think I'm going to be able to contain myself again. There we are. I think I'm going to dry this a bit because these are rather juicy. thinking that I'm going to pick out a little bit of this Let's see what happens. My, what a treat. A little bit of contrast. Just adding something as simple as some dots and lines to these weeds does to them on their dark background. Yes. And I've never, ever met a Uniball pen that I didn't love, because they always seem to come through for me. I don't know whether that's true for others, but they seem to just fly right for Carol. And I must say, this is the first time I've used white. And again. Of course, the darker stays on is the whiter the white. Now, this area, my Signo 207. put my hand in the white signal dots. Now when I bring back my line work, I'm very careful not to try to make the lines perfect, because it doesn't happen. And this way feel like I'm in control of the imperfection. Plus, I'm not too tickled to have my work outlined too perfectly. I'm always afraid that it's liable to look too much like a coloring book. Not that that's a bad thing, but not something that I'm looking forward to doing. There we go. Now, just a few grow lines. Not too many. All right, I'm not going to make you watch me do all of this. I will be right back with my finishing touches and an explanation of what I've done and where I've done it. Well, here we are. Our embellished multi-page spread in The Secrets of Pistoulet. If you will remember, I sealed the page with my very best and favorite thing, clear gesso. And then I dabbed on 2 of my favorite acrylic paints to bring out the sky. We then used StazOn and clear stamps for this page, the vellum, and the last page. The last page, again, embellished the sky with the baby blue and buttercream. Added the stamps. You'll notice I have some bees, a bird, and our flutter of butterflies. And if you will notice, when you put the vellum down, you can see that butterfly fly away, the balloon moving off. I think this side of the lady is more visible than the other side of the vellum, and the focal flower seems to work nicely as a background, because you know I hadn't realized that she was embellished with some of that shade of fuchsia. So that was a happy accident. The flower employed many layers. We started out with 2 shades of acrylic, and then we went to the various shades of the Target shimmer paints. I ended by adding little bits of my white Uniball marker to this just to pump up the contrast a little bit. I worked on this Victorian hand with my Uniball marker, number 207. I embellished the lace to bring it forward a little bit. I added some grow lines and some pollen marks, re-outlined the petals to bring them forward a little bit, and my, look at the way they're shining. I think I'll drop that a little bit because it's almost impossible to see them there, shimmering so much. I went around the edge with my usual Distress ink, black soot, but not, of course, on the vellum because it would tend to smudge. I was quite happy with the effect we got with the metallic marker in green metallic. So, let me let you see this a little bit more closely. Doesn't vellum make things lovely? You notice the way the sunflower is hiding the little child in the moon. Here is our girl, and by putting a little bit of black on her eyebrows, eyes, nostril, and through the line of her lip, it brings it out beautifully on the obverse side, because this is the one it is easier to see, to pick out her fur coat and her big silky hat. And now we can see both of the vellum pages. She is still there. The basket is there. And on this last page, I thought it was so lovely that I just wanted to do a less is more page. But when folded over, all of the items are still visible. I do hope that you have enjoyed watching me play in the Secrets of Pistoulet on this 6-sided spread. And if you have enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe to my channel. See you again soon. Bye now.